Hey guys, this is the Victorinox Classic SD. I bought this one about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and the color is squashed avocado. I'm not the biggest fan of avocado, but if you squash it, make guacamole out of it, well, the story changes. Lately, I've also been kind of bored with the same old nuances, the black folder that you have in your pocket, the standard reds. I want some color in my life, and the colors in which these come are awesome. The day before yesterday and yesterday, my YouTube feed was full of classic SD reviews. I watched a lot of them, and a couple of them were really good, but most were reviewing a knife like this that they just bought, put on their keychains for 2 or 3 weeks, and said what the knife could do and what they imagined it couldn't do, and so on. Now, if you know this cutting board, you know I'm going to test the knife. And I'm not going to talk about this one because this is a brand new one. I haven't sharpened it, I haven't done anything. But I do want to say one thing. Whenever I bought a Victorinox knife that had scissors, 100% of the time, the scissors were set up perfectly. They would cut through rugged materials and through fine materials. They had some cutting aggression to them, and they never failed. This is very rare. Victorinox, in my opinion, have the best scissors. These small ones are very good and very capable. Also, for the size, very comfortable. And the larger ones are superb. That's what I want to say. And I will show you that actually, this is the main tool of the Classic SD. The first thing that I want to address is they are very, very inexpensive. This used to be my wife's before she got the pink one, and this was mine before I got the green one. Now they're both mine. I've had this one for about 5 or 6 years. Before that, I think I lost 3 or 4. With this one, I changed the keychain ring and I improved the quality of these S-beaners. And like I said, for 5 or 6 years, I've had this one. The first thing that struck me with, I don't know whose review it was, that they said the fact that the knife blade is so small and it is on this side of the knife. So if the knife is on your keys, you're going to have a tough time cutting through things because your keys are going to get in your way. And I kind of disagree with that because for this little blade, I can kind of cut something if I need to cut it. And true, the keys may be a bit uncomfortable, but if you're smart, you will have a modular system and you get some good quality S-beaners. You won't lose your little tools and you can easily take them off and put them back on. Now, in my opinion, the knife and the little screwdriver file are not the main tools of this keychain knife. The scissors are. Proof of that, my wife's first SD. These scissors have been used a lot. So much so that there is no cutting aggression to them. They are smooth. I haven't sharpened them. I haven't set them up. I don't do that with scissors. I frankly don't know how, and I don't care. These are now worn smooth. That just goes to show she cut through a lot of things. The knife blade, I sharpened a few times, but it was always sharp. I was just playing around. Now these still work. And I'm going to show you on this little tag that I found. It's very fibrous, it's very smooth. And cutting through it, it kind of pushes it out of the way, but it still cuts it. It's still a nice cut. And if you want to cut the small fibers, you can cut the very, very small fibers because the scissors are still set up perfectly. They just lost the cutting aggression. I've used the scissors on this one, but obviously not as much as my wife used the scissors on hers because I sometimes put other multi-tools on my keychains, but this one always remained there. Maybe you can see it. It does slip away a bit, not that much. Now let's take the brand new one and show you, hopefully, to see the aggression of the scissors when they come brand new. See those cuts? It doesn't slip almost at all. But yeah, these have been used. And like I said, obviously, my wife used this one much more, the scissors on this one, much more than I used the scissors on this one. Well, yes, I was kind of focused on the blade, but I would call the scissors being the main tool of this little keychain multi-tool. And if you are going to compare the scissors, because I do like scissors, I also bought this Spyderco Clip It. And I'm not going to say if they work well or not. I am going to let you be the judge of that. And I can also take some other scissors from a small multi-tool where the main tool are the scissors. And you can judge for yourself. I'm not going to say, because I don't want to make this into a comparison video. I just want to talk about the classic SD. So the scissors work. They can cut through very, very rugged materials. And I'm going to show you that. Why don't I just show you that now? This is just some plastic cordage. The smooth scissors. They do slip, but I would say this is a fairly clean cut. And like I said, trimming off little fibers, no issues. Slightly more aggression to these ones. And the new ones are going to do a much better job. Now, once again, it's not a comparison video. And I'm not going to tell you how good of a job they do cutting. I'm going to let you decide that. But what I can definitely tell you is that these are somewhat more uncomfortable than the Victorinox. I mean, they are small scissors. They're not meant for the greatest comfort in the world. But these, very comfortable for the size. And once again, I'm not gonna tell you if they do a good job or not. You can make up your own mind by what you see here. The one big challenge with these scissors is something like this. This is twisted sisal rope. Very, very hard. People use it in cut tests because it is very abrasive. And I've seen softer ones, but this, you can see it's also very firm. Now, it can do it, but here's where I feel that I really need to sharpen these to get some aggression back into them because it's slipping. With these, they are grabbing a bit more. Let me just... It cannot get through thick layers that are very, very rigid. But the cut is clean. Not doing any comparisons, you know, just trying stuff out. Like I said, I'm not gonna say they did a good or bad job. You can tell for yourself. Let me just clean this up. Now, this is plastic strapping. We just bought a new air conditioning unit, and yeah. I'm not going to tell you which one does better. Once again, you can tell that for yourself. But I can tell you that these are very, very comfortable. And the thing that I like the most is that from the factory, brand new, at least in my experience, they always, 100% of the time, without fault, I don't know how much I can accentuate that, come very sharp and set up perfectly. Now, one use that I found for this little tool, the file flathead screwdriver, that I actually found out of necessity, was that it fits perfectly in the T10 screws, Torx 10. If you want to untighten or tighten your pivot, I started doing this with my Benchmade 940. It kept loosening up. I didn't want to put any Loctite in. That's where I discovered this. And people kept telling me, oh, there are bit kits you can use and, carry with you. And I said, I don't need it. I have this one. Now, just out of necessity, this file has become very useful to me. About 9 years ago, I had an accident, and this fingernail grows in a very weird way. Sometimes it splits, and if it breaks, it's rather unpleasant. So I started using this to file this nail down. In all fairness, one of my favorite multi-tools ever is the Squirt PS4. And the scissors on this one are actually good. Almost as good as this one, in my opinion. But this, the Squirt PS4, has the best file. If you have to file your nails down for some reason, I haven't found a better one. I did actually carry a Squirt PS4, my first one, was red, on my keys. And when I lost that one, I was devastated. I've lost, I don't know how many Victorinox Classic SDs. Simply because I was stupid and didn't replace the keychain ring and the S-beaners on my keys. I was not really sorry. I lost one ALOX model. That meant something to me. The rest were just the 16 euros versions, different colors and different, I never cared about it. Another thing that people said was, toothpick, ew. You can use it to clean up stuff, and yes, to be honest, I don't use this toothpick because for the past 5 years, I've been carrying toothpicks in my wallet, the ones that have some dental floss attached to them. 10 years ago, I didn't used to. Now I kind of need them every day. And if I'm going to need a toothpick, I will use this one. You know why? Because, I don't know, I'm not really grossed out by things like that. It is my knife. I'm not going to lend this toothpick to other people, but if I want to use it, I'll use it. And main reason for this actually is cleaning up my knife. And if I want to use it to pick my teeth, I'm sorry, that's the kind of person that I am. I don't care. The tweezers are indeed a lifesaver. I actually needed them in that role as a lifesaver once, a long time ago. And since then, I was happy. I had my Swiss card with me. And it actually saved a New Year's Eve party. A friend got a hair stuck to the inside of her eyelid. And she turned her eyelid inside out, which I can't do that. But I did have the small pair of tweezers, and I actually got that hair out. And since then, I said, you know what, tweezers are really important. And they are, I think. They can be a lifesaver. And now let's go to the last bit, the knife blade. Main complaint about this is it's on the wrong side. I don't think it is. Like I've shown, even if you have your keys on your SD, you can still use it. But you can have this just on a lanyard like this or on a piece of paracord in your pocket, and you can take it off of your keys. Victorinox steel is very soft. It doesn't hold an edge. And that is the issue that most people complain about Victorinox steel. And about this one, it is very small. You won't be able to do a lot of things with this. Now, you may notice that this one has been sharpened quite a lot. It has been sharpened, but about 2 years ago, I actually thinned out the grind on it, sharpened it convex. And that was because we did a couple of vacations where we didn't take any checked baggage. Just the backpacks on our back. Keep it light, simple. You don't have to wait for your checked baggage to arrive. And I had this on my keys. I said, if I don't get through airport security with it, I'll just buy another one. I don't care. But so far, no issues. In a lot of major airports, you can actually find these after the security check to buy for a steeper price, but nevertheless, you can get them in the airport. And I used this on those 2 vacations for all my cutting tasks, the scissors and the knife blade. It was already thinned out, very sharp. If you take something like this is Victorinox dual sharpener. It is, I think, actually made for Victorinox steel. It works very well with their steel. Maintenance, also easy. Now you can see this one has been tested a lot. I haven't really had the need to use it, but I've been testing it for the past 1.5 years. And for their steel, it works fantastically. And all you need to clean it is an eraser. That's why you see the markings on the eraser like that. But you can sharpen these with just about any rock. You can clear the edge. Once you get accustomed to working with thinned out edges, you will improve your technique and you will see the benefits of it. Even if you chip this edge or bend it, and Victorinox steel is made so that it bends before it chips. So you could even steel it on the back of a different knife or on the back of your car window, your mug, whatever. But the fact that it doesn't hold an edge, I don't really agree with that. I have this little knife here. This is a Victorinox Spartan, very old, very abused. And I tend to clean up the blades on old knives, thin out the grinds. And if they have the small blade, I tend to thin that one out to a ridiculous level. You can carve in soft wood with this. You can cut through cardboard, but as soon as you twist, you will damage the edge because it's soft steel. I accept that and I make good use of that. Same here, but let me do a little test for you, just so you can see that this is not really a fragile blade. Now, I'm not going to do anything I haven't done with this knife, maybe except for one thing. But I also have another story for you. If you're not bored right now, you're probably sitting through that story. A couple of years ago, I was using this to clean chestnuts for my dog. And I felt it a bit unsafe because it is a slip joint blade. That's when I bought the Finch. I already had the Ladybug. I was using it to test the ZDP-189, but I bought the Finch. And I never really felt completely safe with the Finch in my pocket on my keys because it opens up quite easily. And you can see this one's reground. It cuts very well. While cutting with it, it does stay locked and you feel safer with it in hand. When you retrieve the knife out of a cut, even if the material squeezes it, it won't tend to close. This one will. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you that, but I will try. So that is the advantage. The disadvantage is, only thing you can do is tighten this pivot. So it's really hard to get out. But then, yeah, it's really hard to get out, really hard to open. So I do like these, but they are lacking the scissors, they are lacking the tweezers and the file. So let me put all of this aside and do with this knife what I do with my bigger knives. The monster box. Oh, by the way, the knife is sharp. I've sharpened it a long time ago, kept using it around the house. I do strop it once in a while, but If you're working with a thin blade, just work on your technique a bit. Don't cut through steel, don't cut on hard surfaces, and maybe work on your technique a little bit. Try to keep the cut straight. Now, when cutting through cardboard, you can go 90 degrees, push cut, or you can go like this in about like a 45-degree angle and do a little slice cut pushing or pulling. That's going to be much easier. If you have something like this, that would be the smart way to do it. Am I going to do it like that? Not really, no. Because I want to show you a bit of abuse on this small little tool. Push cutting through 4 layers of cardboard. That is, I would say, extreme for this little tool. I'm not sure if I can push cut through 8 layers, but I can definitely saw my way through it. Once I got the cut started, I can do it. I would say this is not bad, but I'm gonna let you make up your mind. You can just watch me and you may not like it. I'm not gonna go through that, but what I am gonna do is I'm gonna show you there is a difference between cutting against the grain, like this, or with the grain, like this, in an angle. This is just much easier. Maybe shorten these pieces a bit and try to go like this through 4 layers. I don't consider this impressive cutting for such a small little knife. Small tiny weeny bit. I consider it just cutting. What is more uncomfortable is the fact that you're gonna hit, like I'm hitting my knuckles on the cutting board because it's such a small knife. But is the knife capable? Yes, I would say so. Let's try something else. 4 layers like this, cross grain, 8 layers like this, relatively clean, and pushing. This is a push cut at this point. I mean, that's not safe. You don't want to do that in the air like that. It will get away from you. And you would have thought, or the first time that I did it to test this knife, I would have thought it's gonna break. It took quite a bit of effort to go through 8 layers of cardboard across the grain. It didn't break. Now, cordage like this, no issues. No issues. Absolutely none. Like I said, sisal rope is very abrasive. This is why people use it to test edges, because it abrades the edge. And Victorinox steel is soft. If you want to cut through sisal rope, you best have something with a high volume of carbides that you left with a very coarse edge. This one is pretty coarse. It's not chipped. I actually sharpened this on a 40 grit sandpaper. So while cutting through the paper, I did strop it, played around with the finish. It snags, but it's not chips. It's just the way I've sharpened the knife to be very, very toothy, testing ZDP 189. And this goes through it very easily because the teeth grab the cordage. It's a very nice thing to play with. I like to do it. I don't know if you probably don't, because you're probably normal people. I'm not. Now you can leave this with a somewhat aggressive finish, but if it's too aggressive, this steel does not hold that micro serrated edge very well. But as you can see, it does go through this very, very hard sisal rope. There is softer sisal rope, but this is just the hardest one that I could find. And is it still sharp? I would say that's a pretty clean cut. Works. There is a small nick in the blade somewhere. Probably from me hitting the cutting board, probably from doing that. I haven't sharpened this knife in a while. If you're gonna do a slice cut, you see, it's a bit hairy, not too bad. Are you going to do this much cutting in one day with your small Victorinox SD? Maybe. Plastic strapping, you know, from packages you get. We just bought an air conditioning unit. That works. That was one. That's two. This is four. It's a small blade. But I would consider this pushing the limits. Well, this is a bit more. I would consider this pushing the limits of this little knife because of the size of the blade. But I don't think that's too bad. And this is hard plastic. My form was not at all perfect. The same thing. Cutting in a slight angle. Are you gonna abuse your knife this much in one day? Honestly, I don't think so. But let's take it down, up a notch. I saw one guy did a great mod on these. He sharpened the ricasso very carefully. I don't know if you want to do that unless you kind of make the blade a little narrower, because if you remove any material from the ricasso and the blade is its original shape, it's probably gonna get banged into the liners. I'm not sure. That's just the thing that comes to mind. Maybe yeah, maybe not. But sharpening the ricasso so that you can strike a ferro rod, not bad. And then can you make your feather sticks with this knife? This is pine. Very soft pine that you buy in the store to light your fire if you have a wood stove in your house. And oh, that's what I wanted to show you. I mentioned this before. It grabs it, and now it didn't. But maybe I can. And this is an odd piece of wood, and you see how small the knife is. I'm actually helping myself with the lanyard. Maybe a different lanyard would be a better idea. But look how wide this area is. And because I thinned out the blade, it can still do cuts very well. Let's try with a narrower piece of wood. The issue with slip joints is that sometimes if the wood squeezes your blade, or if you push down, and this happened to me many times, well, I'm just gonna show you. You get the risk of doing this, especially when it's a small blade like this. You risk it coming back on your hand and biting you. But as you've seen, it hasn't happened but once now. Is this something that is not impressive enough for such a small knife? I mean, yes, of course. Bigger knife will make this job much, much easier. The whole blade is buried in here, and I would say that's impressive. Now, if you don't want to break the knife, and I don't think I want to, because I still like this knife, just retrieve it in a nice fashion, and you can still use it. So yeah, I can't split wood with this, but I can still cut, and if I'm going to go for it, I can cut feather sticks. I mean, or yeah, make shavings that I can light with a lighter, or make thinner ones that I could probably light with a ferro rod. And this is just because I thinned out the grind on the blade. Wood is not going to dull your blade unless you drag your blade across the piece of wood. And for just cutting up cardboard, if you do take it off your keys, I use this for a whole vacation as my only cutting tool, and I also used it for food prep. I didn't cut any pineapples with it because too small, but I did cut a lot of fruit and vegetables, cheese and meat, and also a lot of plastic packaging. Now, when it came to cutting bread and flatbread, the blade is a bit small, and it will get dirty also with cheese and with tomatoes, but you can wash the whole thing out. So I made this half an hour long video for you to enjoy, hopefully you did, to right the wrong that has been done by so many reviewers who bought the knife, used it, put it on their keychains, maybe for a week or two, and then gave their ultimate review. I've been having one of these on my keychains for years and years, probably since 2012, constantly. And I think they're fantastic. I think they are much more capable than you would think. Ideally, I would always like to have a knife like this with me for general cardboard cutting and food prep. You can carve a pineapple with this. You can open a coconut, a green coconut, remove the husk, force. You can do a lot of things with a blade like this. Even a delica. A lot of things you can do with a blade like this. And this just cost you 16 euros. They always come up, set up perfectly. At least that was the case in mine. And, honestly, if you just spend a bit of time on your understanding of cutting geometries and thinning out of grinds and cutting technique, I think you can definitely use this as, you can use this for chip carving. I have used this for chip carving, but you can even use it for, starting up a small fire. Harder woods like this, you can still do it, but you're going to need smaller sticks because the handle is so small and the blade is so small. But you can, work on the corners and probably get your very fine shavings. This is a tough wood, very, very dry beech wood. You can see how shiny it is. I test my knives on it, the thin grinds. You can still do it. Way more capable than some people would suggest. And yes, this is a small blade. Yes, this is a small handle. But try it. And if it doesn't work out for you, you can always come back to this video and tell me why it didn't work out for you. What were the tasks where this let you down? Because I think this was a rather abusive video on this knife. If you were to use it like a normal person for your daily cutting tasks, it's more than enough. And yeah, comes in a variety of colors, always very nice fit and finish, and yeah, just works. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, down in the comment section, I will, who knows, maybe get to it someday. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day.